let's get into the big story. Obviously, you saw through the thumbnail. And this is a personal thing. This is a hopes and dream thing for Boom. Besides Banjo, besides Killer Instinct 2, besides potentially getting a kart racer from Playground Games' newly formed studio, these are all the hopes and dreams of poor little Boomstick. But another dream that I've had that I've consistently asked for, and I think you folks will admit this is something that needs to happen. Well, listen, Fallout is a phenomenal series. It is a series that a lot of us love. A lot of us have put hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into it. You go all the way back to Fallout 1 and 2, which I didn't play because they were on PC. And again, those are like ARPGs or asymmetric RPGs, just not my bag. But FPS RPGs, well, that's my thing. So I played the heck out of Fallout 3. Really enjoyed it. Over 300 hours, beat every DLC, got almost all the achievements. Played Fallout 4, enjoyed it, didn't love it as much as 3. There is one particular Fallout game that comes to mind that should get you excited. And I'm not sure if it does or it doesn't, but it does for me. That is Fallout New Vegas. In my opinion, the best Fallout of the series. Now, I know, Todd Howard, if you're listening, brother, I apologize. Don't get in your feels. You make great games. We know you do. We love them. But if I had to pick between the children, the one that gets the #1 award is going to be Fallout New Vegas. So what we have heard, and now it's starting to come out of the woodworks, and of course I want to give credit where credit is due, ladies and gentlemen. Clobriel, he is the pinnacle of Xbox fandom. He has not only a great talent for making graphs and graphics for us YouTubers and content creators to use, but he puts them out on the socials to enjoy for everybody. And he put out a tweet that has me very excited. He says this, ladies and gentlemen: Obsidian Entertainment is now working on an unannounced title. The studio is currently known to be working on The Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed. The Grounded team comes to mind as possibly working on what is next for the IP. So this is a third game. I know some people out there, even some in the chat, say, well, Boom, it's probably Grounded 2. I don't think so. I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. I think that when you look, and again, let's just put some breadcrumbs down, folks. Right? Let's just go all the way back to hours before the Fallout TV series releases. Right? Fallout TV series on Prime comes out, and we saw some previews, we saw some screeners, we've seen some screenshots, and there was a lot of buzz. What I don't think Bethesda or Xbox and Microsoft were expecting was that they, as it stands, 80 plus million viewers watch that series. I think it's sitting at the #1 or #2 spot for Amazon all time. And it really did take the world by storm. It took the gaming world by storm, so much so that even in some top 10s for a couple of months, you saw Fallout 4, you saw Fallout 3, Fallout 76 got a huge shot in the arm, even though it's not for me. And I know some people are like, hey, Boom, you got to try it. It's more like the single player than it is the multiplayer or the MMO. There's just not enough time in the day. Just not to get into an MMO. But I'm very happy for anyone that is currently enjoying it, which is awesome. And now we have heard as soon as a couple of months, a couple of years ago, even much as last year, the head of Obsidian said they would love another shot at the Fallout series. So here's where I try to play detective. Now, whether I win or fail is really up to you folks. Obsidian already has a lot on their plate, right? They're working on Avowed. They're continuing updating Grounded, right? That's consistently getting updates. You have the Outer Worlds 2 they're working on. Now they have a lot of teams. It's a pretty sizable studio. We know that Bethesda is currently like neck deep in Starfield updates, right? They're making and releasing Shattered Space later this year. It's already leaked that they already have and they're working on the next DLC for 2025. We know that they're hard at work finishing up, and I would imagine, doing the last minute touches on Indiana Jones. And of course, Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls, which is expected to potentially be a launch title for the next Xbox and Xbox handheld. Where do they have the time to do another Fallout? Because Fallout 5, if you just let's just do some simple mathematics here. If for shits and giggles that Bethesda proper, they're working on DLCs, 2 DLCs for Starfield. They're working on consistent updates. The next big update with the land vehicles is coming. We know that they're hard at work on the next Elder Scrolls. That's expected. And again, this is just some hypotheticals expected to potentially release as a launch title for the next Xbox. If we're just being fair, whatever game that they're working on is going to take 5 years. So if 2026 is the next launch for a new hardware or a pair of pieces of hardware, one a handheld, one a home console for Xbox, and that's 2026. And Elder Scrolls 6 is supposed to be a launch title or a launch in that year. That's 2026. Is it going to be 5 years before we get Fallout 5? Am I going to be 61 years old playing the next Fallout? That's pretty ridiculous, right? Honestly, it just seems a little far-fetched. So where my mind goes is, well, Obsidian, yeah, they're working on a couple of games. They're updating Grounded. They're working on Avowed. They're working on the Outer Worlds 2. They're a pretty sizable studio. They want to work. They want to work on a new Fallout or potentially go back to a Fallout that they know and love. And that is Fallout New Vegas. I think that Fallout New Vegas 2 is in the cards. And I think just based on what the 2 studios that are involved in Fallout or have been involved in Fallout, they're a little bit stacked right now. I think even I would even dare say that Bethesda is even more stacked than Obsidian. I did this whole monologue about Obsidian potentially having a new game in the works that has been confirmed. Cloverfield put a tweet out there that they are working on another game. I don't think it's Grounded 2. I think that it's Fallout New Vegas 2. The evidence that I have put forth is that, well, if you just look at what Bethesda's currently doing, they don't have the staff. They do not have another studio to work on what they're currently working on. They're finishing up Indiana Jones. They're updating Starfield. They have 2 DLCs they're working on. They're working on the Elder Scrolls 6. When are we going to get a Fallout 5? 2031, 2032? And if that's the case, and again, this is on the heels, see money, of the success of the TV show, which the second season has already been greenlit. People are going to be like going bonkers for something new Fallout. And granted, I know Fallout 76 exists, but it's an MMO. Even though it's somewhat plays single player, there are still people out there that if they want to be D's, they can kill you and take all your stuff. I don't want to live in that world. I want to play a single player, story driven, narrative focused game. I think Obsidian can deliver that. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, can they deliver it? Yeah, for sure. I think the only problem we have is with that thought, and it just depends on scale and what you would imagine from it, is that like there are 2 big teams are working on other games already, right? So Avowed is still not out, right? So I don't think they're referencing the team working on Avowed, and the other team is working on Outer Worlds 2, right? So I think the only teams that are left are the Pentiment team and the Grounded team, right? These are the only 2 teams that, we know officially that Grounded is done, right? So they're not updating it anymore. I mean, obviously, they'll maintenance it, but there's not gonna be any new big content updates or anything like that. Um, so that game is a complete game now. Um, so they are the ones who, I would say are the bigger of the 2 between them and Pentiment team, to go ahead and work on something new. Pentiment obviously has been done for a little bit now. So are they working on something separate? Are there 4 games in development because those 2 teams are gonna work on their own game? Or did Josh Sawyer, who, if I'm not mistaken, he's known for being part of making bigger games before he did Pentiment, right? So I mean, I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty sure that that's why he got his name. Like that's why his name was important because he's
Yeah.
worked on other stuff that was bigger. Um, so the only thing that would kind of work in the idea of doing a Fallout is if his team started working on it, like getting it together, getting like the ground floor done for it, like, and then now that the Grounded team is done, now they're gonna join, that team and kind of instead of having a 4 game breakdown, they just work on 3. Um, and maybe they're the ones who are doing it. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if Todd, every time he has an interview and people ask him about this, he's pretty dismissive of the idea. No, I was just gonna say about like Indiana Jones, right? Like they have an internal team making Indiana Jones, but he's executive
Well, yeah,
producing it.
that's Machine Games that's actually making it. He's obviously I'm sure that there's people working on it from Bethesda. There's no doubt about it. It is Machine Games, but it's definitely something that he has his hands in. Like he is doing a lot, bro. Like
Yeah,
honestly.
he said is the game that he's always wanted to make for Indiana Jones. Like he
Yep.
pitched it years ago. So this is clear. Like he's clearly working on this game, on Indiana Jones, even though he's not the one sitting there, boots on the ground making it. That's what Machine Games is doing, but it's still his vision, right? So maybe he's just doing that with another team. Maybe that is the Pentiment and Grounded teams now working together. Um, I see people are talking about maybe there's another Pillars of Eternity coming in.
I mean, it's
Uh,
possible.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's possible too. I don't know. I don't know if a vow taking place in that world.
I don't
Um,
know if that would make
s-
sense,
yeah,
honestly.
because it
Yeah.
kind of like it feels like they're pivoting away from the Pillars of Eternity brand as a game and more as a world, right? Like those 2 games almost served as like introductions to the world, and now Avowed is you know, the new pillar
Pillars.
game for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Right? That would be the franchise, I would assume. Um, but I mean, look, the beauty is this, right? We know for sure there's another game being made. Klober already said it, and just without him even saying anything, we know the Grounded team, they're amazing, right? We know the Pentiment team, they're amazing, right? They produce high quality stuff. We know they're going to be working on something, right?
Right.
So the question is whether it's just 3 or is there a 4th? Is Josh Shore making another smaller type game? I mean,
Interesting.
that we
What's
don't know.
interesting? I have a breakdown for you. I pulled this from Reddit. Now, this is from 1 year ago, and they have gone up in staff. So currently, as of today, I'm looking at Obsidian according to Rocket Reach, Obsidian Entertainment Information. They have 312 employees as of today. Now, this Reddit post breaks down by numbers exactly what is going on at Obsidian, and this is how they break it down. Again, folks, this is from a year ago. Things have changed a bit. Obviously, they went from 280 to 312 as of today, so that's obviously an increase of 32 developers.
That's
It
like
says
another
this.
indie studio, you know what I'm
It,
saying?
it
That's a
actually
big
it actually is because according to again, this is what they said on Reddit. They have 80 people assigned to Avowed. They have 80 people assigned to the Outer Worlds. They had 13 people assigned to Pentiment and 13 people assigned developers working on Grounded. Now, I would imagine that the Grounded team has gotten bigger since it's obviously not, it's a full blown game. It's on multiple platforms. It's doing really well. They're consistently updating it. So I would imagine that their studio probably has tripled. They probably have maybe upwards of 50, maybe they even have as much as 80